Hey, this is actually the original NES version. I have a little note up there. Let me move it closer to the controller so maybe it's easier to see. I wanted to play a couple rounds of the original first, just to sort of compare the two, and I'm doing all on the Mister, so it's as apples to apples a comparison as possible. It's also kind of bright in here. Let me turn down my lights so I can see my monitor better. There we go. Hey, Alex. Yeah, I'm going to play the original NES version, and then let's see what the new one's like. See if I could find slowdowns or anything like that. And let me just also make it kind of fair. So no extra sprites, no max day. Like, this is just exactly what you would expect from an NES game. All right, cool. I haven't played through this game since I started RetroRGB. I probably play this level quite a bit whenever I'm using comparisons, doing comparison shops or something. But yeah, this is oh, my mic is scratchy. Is it still like that? Because I noticed it was like that on the other stream I did the other day. Let me turn that down and turn this up. Which is funny because this is the exact same mic I use for all the other videos I do. So it's odd that sometimes it just happens like this. What I remember about this game from the last time I played it quite a few years ago was that it was completely fair, but it was a game that you had to practice the levels a couple of times in order to get the patterns and figure everything out. Let me see if I can turn up my mic a little bit here. You know what? Let me just, instead of turning up my mic, let me do what eClose has taught me to do. And add. Alright, is this better? Is this going to make it sound, is it louder or anything like that? Let me see what else I got. Better. I just added an upward compressor. I guess I could just add 1 or 2 more dBs of gain here. So that should be it. It's still weirdly crackly. Oh. I'm gonna try something risky. Hopefully I don't crash the stream here. Alright, am I back and is it still crackly? I just rebooted my sound card. Luckily it's USB, so... No, I do appreciate it, Kyosho. I just, I'm always trying to... I flipped it from 48 to 44K, and then I rebooted it, and I think everything seems okay now. Alright, thank you. I really appreciate that. I hate it when my streams sound terrible. Alright, obviously I'm just kind of messing around here. I'm not seriously playing the NES version. I mean, I guess I kind of am, but I'm really just trying to figure out, you know, do I see slowdown? Is there anything about the NES version that stands out to me so that we can compare it to the new port? Hey, what's up, Ariel? Yeah, this is an absolute iconic game, and this is one of those where it was the very rare perfect storm of if you happen to like the cartoon and you had an NES, and now there's the game made of it, and not only does it not suck, but it's actually a great game. That's yeah, this was rare back in those days. Usually you get screwed with some terrible conversion. Interesting. I forgot how to get that. Do you have to bounce off the bees or something? That's probably it. Alright, so let's flip over to the SNES version. Hey, Ian, how's it going, man? Thank you so much for the super chat. Ian said, I can't look at anything DuckTales without singing the theme song. Also did a $20 super chat, but it didn't show up, but billed my card, so I hope you get it. Oh, thank you, Ian. I'm sorry about that. Damn. Much appreciated, but yeah, I also, as soon as I heard that Infidelity was working on this port, the first thing I did was start humming the theme song. All right, here we go. Let me change the text here. I'm just trying to see if any of the other stuff was implemented in here. Controls look good, colors look okay. I don't think you could change the palette on this one yet. Auntie, if you wouldn't mind, please check the description. I have a blog post, and it also links to where I talked about it in a podcast if you want the full explanation. I don't mean any disrespect. I just, every time I play these, I end up having to explain it, so I just think it's better for people who come who don't know where it is to just go kind of check it out in detail. Also, as I'm playing, very often I'll make mistakes while explaining stuff, so I'd rather point you to a written post where I've taken my time and made sure that I did it correctly. I'll try it on an EverDrive at some point. I just, I wanted this stream to flow very easily, and I wanted to be able to just test this stuff out pretty quick, so. But you know, if I'm gonna play this seriously, I can't even get hit in the first level, so let me, Hey, Dan, thank you so much. Really appreciate the super chat. Yeah, game's looking great, too, so this is, I'm not looking great playing it, but the game's looking great, so. Hopefully we could get somewhere with it today. Hey, afternoon, Koala. Oh, come on. Ah, welcome. Thanks for joining. I am not very good at video games, but I'm pretty decent at highlighting cool stuff that's out there. So hopefully, I could do this port justice and stop dying all the time. Damn, I really want to know what's in there. It's probably nothing, but now I'm just curious because I can't get it. I thought I landed right on him. But that's kind of the thing that I definitely remember about DuckTales, is you gotta play every level a whole bunch of times, and then you get used to it practicing it, and then you just kind of get through. But it doesn't feel... Like, I've played quite a few games where it's just exhausting and annoying, and you're like, why, like, I'm not finishing this game. I'm not going to play the same level 5,500 times each just to memorize every single pattern. This never felt like that. This felt more like get used to each spot, get a feel for it. You don't have to memorize every single thing, but you could kind of see where stuff is, and you learn things like don't even jump near those flowers, and see. I actually forgot why I'm supposed to be collecting diamonds. And cupcakes and other stuff. And it's probably stupidly obvious. I just, it's been so long since I actually played it. Not sure what you mean, BB. It's an exact port of the NES version. Now, there is that whole thing about the color palettes, which I should probably leave a link to that in the description as well. But, excuse me. But yeah, that's basically it. So if I remember correctly, so now, was there anything worth getting down there? No, right? So I come back up here for this. There we go. Yeah, that's not even anything. Damn you bees. Tree trunks seem to be shimmering. Let me check that when I see them. Because I'm playing on an RGB monitor. Damn it. So I'm playing on a 1000 TVL RGB monitor, so I'd be able to tell you if it's the way I have the game set up in Mister, or if it's the game itself. Maybe I'll tell you right now because I keep dying. So let me see how this looks here. I guess there's some shimmer. So audio, video. There we go. Now it's 5x scaling. So that should be... Alright. Alright, so let's see. There we go. That should be better, right? I mean, YouTube compression's still gonna mess with it. Thanks for a reminder on the scaling. Usually that's the first thing I do because I truly believe 1080p 5x or 480p, jeez, 4K 10x is the best ways to play almost every single retro game with very, very few exceptions. I think I have to jump off of that. Let me just, if I'm actually going to play it, might as well not waste continues here. Hey, Rob. I'm playing this on an E-Series BVM. That's the 1000 TVL. And it's crazy. It's like the line density of a 14-inch monitor, but it's a 20-inch monitor. I'm actually going to be doing an experiment in the next couple days where I put this monitor next to an A-Series BVM and watch some 480i content and have them both connected at the same time so I could see if one is actually better than the other. Like if you could actually really tell a difference between 1000 TVL and 900 TVL on a 20-inch. Yeah, reasonably priced and BVM are definitely not two things that you're going to hear in the same sentence ever again. But I mean, it's kind of like everything else, right? Classic cars get to be that way. You know, lots of vintage stuff is like that. It is what it is. Well, that was just stupid. Oops. Alright, look, I'm going to try this level one more time, and if I don't beat it, then I'm just going to move on to a different level, because my hope was that, even though I haven't played this game for real in 10 years-ish, that I could practice up live here on stream and maybe come close to beating the game, but it's looking more and more like I'm going to need to practice a little now, and then after the final release is done, then go back and actually try to beat it. So, at the very least, let's check out all the levels on this. But one more shot on this one. Yeah, that's the chroma removal. This is, I'm using RetroRGB so you can see my controller inputs. And yeah, the green button, that was green in the overlay, so that's why it is now missing. I could make another overlay, I didn't have time, and I figure y'all get the point. The other thing that's funny is Y and B are the buttons I'm using, but it's showing up there as X and A, but all of the other buttons seem to be looking perfect on RetroRGB, so not sure what that was all about, but not a big deal. You got a 2030 for $300? Yeah, that's well done. I got to sell a couple of my more expensive monitors to pay for stuff around the house, and they are expensive, and I don't like selling stuff like that because I know I'll never be able to get it back. But I also hate dealing with the tire kicking community. It's like, okay, you know, that's exactly right. That's exactly what the monitor's worth. And they show up like, well, I drove all the way out here, so how about you take 500? Yeah, how about you get the fuck out of my house and never come back and hope that I forget who you are? I have zero patience for that stuff, which I know, you know, if you grew up in a bargaining community type of thing, it's, you know, that's just the way it is. So I'm actually the asshole for getting upset about it, but that's still, I'm not changing my mind anytime soon. Alright, let's go to a different level. You bought an arcade cab that a previous owner stuffed decased PVM 2530 into? That must be a badass arcade cabinet. Yeah, you know, it was funny. I did that video a while back about years ago now, about getting scammed on eBay. And I talked about an eBay scam where they wanted me to drive to them. First, it was they were going to meet me halfway. And then they were like, hey, you know, could you just drive all the way to me? And then they refused to win the eBay auction. And I was like, no, that's not how it works. You can't do this transaction outside of eBay. I can get into trouble for that. And they're like, well, I'm not paying you until I see it. It's like, yeah, win the auction and then pay me. So no money is exchanged, but we're now just doing this all by the book. And they were arguing with me over it. And I was like, listen, you're a scumbag. I know exactly what you're doing. I've seen this my entire life. I know exactly what's going on. You're trying to get me to drive all the way out there, and then you're going to lowball me. And the guy absolutely lost his mind, reported me to eBay, all this stuff. But of course, you know, what's eBay going to do? He was the one trying to do the transaction outside of eBay. And when I talked about that in the video, so many of the comments were like, you know, I'm so sick of rich people just expecting people to drop all that kind of money on something. And it's like, no. That means you would have fallen for the scam. There was no money supposed to be exchanged. You win the auction, you do not pay, and then you pay when I get there. And that way, if you try to lowball me, I could report you to eBay. Wow, that was a stupid mistake. So anybody who's played this game recently, do I actually have to go out and find him to say, go get the remote? Or can I just skip that part and go get the remote? It's just getting there. Okay, thank you, sure. Much appreciated. Yeah, not doing very well today, huh? HD Man, yeah, that's Retro Spy, and that's free. If you have a Mister, just download and install the software on your PC, and then, you once you download it, you'll see an SH file in the Mister folder, and then you just load that onto your Mister, and reboot your Mister, and then that's it. Then you just connect the two. All you need to know is the IP address. Crazy Ducks in Space. What's going on here? I think we found a bit of a bug, right? That's kind of funny. Okay. Possible bug. Historic Nerd. 31 minutes into the stream. I'll let me leave a note so I can let Infidelity know. Okay. I didn't notice the tweet, but I don't know if I would notice a video issue on NDS Lite GBA mode. I think that's more for somebody who is an expert in handheld screens and stuff like that. So that would be like a Tito question or Mako. I was so far it's perfect. There was that one glitch we found, but there's certainly not been anything else. Looks and sounds great. Aw, that's cheesy. Damn. You know, this is just my stupid opinion. This is not, anything. But my hope is that the next game is Metroid, and that some members of the Metroid Construction Forum are willing to jump in, because I would love to see like a dual effort where Infidelity's working on the port, but then the people on the Metroid Construction Forums are doing something like porting over all of those cool things that they added to the NES version, except also in taking advantage of the extra power of the SNES versus NES. So that map system that they created was really cool and so impressive that it works on an original NES, but make it bigger so it fits, on more of the screen. And what about rooms change color when you enter them? And that's not stuff that Infidelity has a desire to work on. He's working on these patches. So it would really need to be a team effort between the Metroid construction team and him. But I think, a lot of stuff like slightly improving the control schemes a little bit. If you are, I think if you're jumping while moving forward, it slows down. Whereas if you're just running, it's faster. So I don't know if that's like a deep coding issue that would need to be changed, or if that's something that could just be done just by taking advantage of the extra power. I have no clue, but there's a lot of work that could be done to Metroid. A ton of little things that would really just completely change the way the game feels. Wow, I'm obviously terrible at this game. They already did that FBX. It's called Retroid, and I did a stream about it. It was phenomenal, but the only complaint I have about it, the only one, is that it feels like Super Metroid. And that's not a complaint at all, if you love Super Metroid as much as I do, but it's just, you don't get that sense of emptiness. The characters on screen are bigger, which are, all the things that you would want from the 16-bit sequel of it, but it doesn't quite feel like the original. It feels like Super Metroid with the Metroid map. Oh, I hit the wrong button. What an idiot. So what is the money for again? Yeah, it's definitely a shame Nintendo didn't do this. I don't know how I would have felt as a kid seeing like... I don't know how I would have felt about that as a kid, though. Like, if I bought an SNES and I saw these games re-released, Super Mario All-Stars was good and everything, but I'm just wondering how I would have felt. Like, would these have sold, or would everybody be like, who cares? I already played that game. I gotcha. And yeah, I do remember the outrage, because, this is one of the things that I've always said to people is how you launch a product and the perception of the product is very often more important than the product itself. And the perception was, for a lot of people, that Nintendo was taking advantage of parents and kids by doing the same thing, but changing just a few things about it. So I remember there being like a debate of what's the actual... at first, obviously. Not if you followed the game scene and all that, but just as like a kid who was into this stuff, was it actually a difference? Was it just a controller? Was it, what made it super? And then eventually everybody caught Okay. Funny, Kyosho, I believe it's the same thing. I could be wrong, but I believe Super Mario Bros. All-Stars does the exact same thing that Infidelity does, and took the original code and ported it over, but then added new graphics to it. But it's the SNES game. I, at the time, did not think that was I didn't think that was a step up. And I know I'm definitely in the minority of thinking that, but I remember seeing video games back when like Atari 2600 was, and actually I had an 8-bit computer, a Tandy 1000, and it was awesome, but I think the 16-bit era, and to a point, some of the 32-bit stuff, took it to a level where you had to use your imagination so much less, if at all, because the graphics were good enough to convey what they were trying to do. And then I think N64 went in the opposite direction in that because it was early 3D graphics, it was basically the Atari 2600 of 3D consoles. So you see a lot of stuff on there that you kind of have to use your imagination about because it doesn't really come across as well as it should have. To remove the green that was around the other that was around the controller. Is this like the beginning of the level or something, and I accidentally went all the way back? Yep, that's exactly what I did. Well, I'm getting the flow of a lot of these levels though, so I might actually be able to get decently far this time. Or not. Ariel, yeah, but it doesn't make any difference in this stream, so I'm not worrying about it. I'll work on more overlays next time. Can't go back this way, right? Nope. I feel like I'm missing something very obvious, which is something I often do when playing games like this. Like the last Axiom Verge game, I was stuck in one spot for like a half hour, turned it off, came back the next day, and then same thing, stuck for like 20 minutes. So I watched a playthrough video of it, turns out I just had to move one more screen to the right, and for whatever reason, I just never did in this one area. And it's all. There was no hidden thing. There was no puzzle. It was just basics. Go through the wall instead of the mirror warp. I already did that. Let me see if I can find it again. No, it's all good, Brandon. If you want a detailed description, just check out the link in the description. I have, I both talked about this on a podcast as well as wrote it out, so depending on how you prefer it. But I'd rather point people there than try to re-explain it and then make a mistake while I was explaining it. But yeah, there's a bunch of advantages to doing these ports, and some games benefit more than others. I think DuckTales doesn't have the most benefit other than you get to play it in RGB without modding your NES. But it's such a good game. I think it was the right move. There wasn't a ton of sprite flicker and slowdown in the original, but now there's 0. Although I do think the stuff like your health power and time disappearing when you go up top, I think that's hard-coded in there just to prevent the crazy sprite flicker, so I'm not sure if that's something that the developer would be able to even remove. You know, I've never played DuckTales 2. Does it play as nice as the first? Because as far as like gameplay mechanics and how fluid this all feels, this is one of the best games on the NES. Oh, polishes up the first one? That's interesting. Stupid mistake. Shouldn't have done that. The last time a DuckTales game came out, I believe it was the remake for like Wii U and other consoles, and no one got really excited about it. I can continue to the left here? I don't think so. Oh, hey, how about that? I'm not sure if I ever really knew about that. That's interesting. Huh. Oh, come on, bees. The hell. The hit detection on that is definitely off. I think it was like that in the original game too, so that's not about the conversion, but there's no possible way. I'm watching this on a zero lag RGB monitor here, and I'm watching my cane hit that bee right in the head. Somehow its wings hit me first. And I gotta, I keep resetting because if I want to try to beat the game, I can't just waste my lives on the very first level, and I start in the same spot, so it's better to just do that. Yeah, I used to watch all those shows as a kid. I don't really remember anything about any of them other than the Money Pit, which was hysterical. And I often quote, "Work smarter, not harder." Can't duck around him. I guess I gotta just sprint forward. Are you serious? Come on. So if I skip going down there and going to the left, I miss out on money? Which could lead to not getting the best ending. So you know what? Hold on a second here. Let me just add that other post to the description. All right, if you scroll down in this post, Dr. Lilo, you could check the different palettes and stuff like that. I could even edit this too. All right, I added that to the description as well. So that way, people could tell about the color palette stuff. Oh, you're talking about his suit, not color palettes? Yeah, I had no idea. Sorry. me just double check I'm not missing anything important down here, but I just remember this being harder and you don't get anything. Oh, you do get an extra life. Okay, so it actually is worth going down this way. Alright. Then how do you get past this? Oh, well there you go. I gotta stop getting taken out by bees. See, there's no way I'm going to make it because I can't figure out... I've never figured out a way to not get hit by a bee when you're up on the chopper. I was just trying to be patient for a second and... Oh, hey, how about that? You gotta jump straight up and over the bee and go from there. Alright, Y for no. Okay. I think I pressed the wrong button. All right. All right. So I get those down pretty well. Let me try the Himalayas again, I guess. Actually, you know what? Let me go for Transylvania and find out the other stuff that that I missed out of this level. Hey Lex, yeah, it's actually reversed. Y and B are showing up as X and A on RetroSpy, and I'm not sure why. But yeah, it was the chroma removal that got it removed. That sucks. Oh, I assumed there was going to be a frog there, whatever that was. Ah, slipped. Inline SCART geometry adjusters. So if you're talking about the ones that are like you can get from the Time Harvest store, I did a review on them. Just check RetroRGB. They seem fine, but I wouldn't use them with scalers. I would use them with RGB monitors, but what they do to with scalers might not be the right. Like it might send sync too high. But if you're using a scaler, you should be able to mess with settings anyway. So, what the fuck did I just do? I'm usually okay at talking and playing games. I don't know what's wrong with me today. You have RGB CRTs? I mean, if you have RGB monitors, you should probably just use their service menus to dial all that in and not use an external device. I just realized I had a pattern going, and I don't know why I just kind of spaced out of this for a moment. Lex, if that's the case, then yeah, those things should be fine. Same thing with arcade machines. If you have an inline JAMA adapter for that, that'll work great too. Well, that was swift. Funny, I just got this pattern too. I don't know why I went backwards on that, but all right. As requested, the moon. Yeah, Cadmac. It's. I'll go over it again here because people keep asking. But I really do prefer if people just check the description because there's a link to me talking about it at length in a podcast, as well as written descriptions, and there's also picture descriptions as well that show the color palette stuff. But basically, it's the code will for the most part run on the NES code will for the most part run on the SNES. What doesn't work is, wow, terrible. What doesn't work is audio, which needs to be done through a conversion, emulation, and also the inputs and outputs don't line up. So the developer Infidelity was able to modify these games to work on an SNES, and the main advantage is no slowdown or sprite flicker in those types of games. Yeah, see, I don't know why I'm off today. I'm usually able to talk and play, but just please go watch that. Read the description, because I'm going to fuck it up really bad here, and you're going to get the wrong impression. These things are awesome, and you don't deserve it. They don't deserve a half-assed explanation while I'm dying at DuckTales. So my apologies. Why am I so off today? I might have to call it in a couple of minutes. I just don't understand why I'm doing so crappy at this. It's definitely not latency, that's for sure. Aw, that wasn't fair. I had the cane down. So Alkenstein, very often that flickering is actually programmed into the game in anticipation of how the NES was going to interpret it. And that's why you see every time I go up near the top of the screen, time disappears as well as how much life I have left. And that's something the programmers did to make sure, or to reduce the amount of flicker on screen. So when Infidelity, the developer who's doing these, ran into that on Mega Man 2, I think he had to manually change the code and to get rid of some of that flicker. So it's pretty impressive, but it's this is obviously just one of the first attempts at this, and there's probably going to be many more with a public release this week, I believe. But yeah, it was pretty impressive. anybody else see that? Is that supposed to be a ledge? Oh, I guess it is. All right. Yeah, the speed in which the developer has been working on these is pretty incredible. I think it's kind of like, I think the first one took months, and each time it gets a little better. I certainly don't want to use the word easy, but it's, it's like everything else. Once you've honed your skills, it's not as crazy as the first time, but it's still super impressive. Goddamn space duck. Sure, this port has only been in progress for a very short period of time, maybe a month tops. Yeah, Jonathan, I think that's kind of it, right? I think the first time he went through these patches, he got a really deep knowledge of how all of them work, and where, you know where to look to find stuff. So I think that's kind of why he was able to get at it so much quicker. Well, poop. Alright, so this is where I died before. Do I think the devs leveraged AI? No. Definitely not, no. No, I've been following this developer's work for a while. Every piece of code was done by him. Except the sound, but he credited the person for that. Well, that's a load of bullshit. Yeah, definitely no laggy parts. Oh, yeah, totally got that, Lex. You weren't, like, accusing him of faking it or something. I just, no, credit where credit's due. This was all done by hand. Alright, so let's see if I could blow through this pretty quickly, getting only what I need. So over here was basically nothing, right? Wow, what a moron. You know, I really wish Chris from Displaced Gamers was here to explain to me if am I making mistakes on this, or is there really some very weird hit detection box around that rope where sometimes if I'm next to it and I hit up just right, I still won't get it. Because that's happened quite a few times now. As you can see, that time was fine, but I did the same thing last time as well. So there's really nothing left, just money and lives. And then up here is where... Same thing up there, so I just gotta get the key at the top. I'm using an SNES controller, and it's been the one that I've been using at a lot of live streams that did really well. The, I can't remember if... I think it was the first Zelda stream I did. I went through like 3 different controllers just to see which one would work better, because I was having trouble with the USB one, and this is the one that worked perfect. And this is the one I've been using ever since, through the Damon Byte adapter. Yeah, watching this doesn't seem like anything's out of the ordinary. Exactly, yeah. It's just the same game, but with no slowdown and a lot less sprite flicker, unless it was already kind of programmed into the game. Alright, so I only needed the top left, the key. And then these are all dead ends, actually, if I remember correctly. So I had to get the key. And over here was nothing, it was just some power-ups or something, right? Yeah, not even some money. Okay. I think this had both. I think this had extra lives, or power-ups, and money. Let's see. Yep, that was the cake. Beautiful. That's an easy place to get to as well. I'll go get the treasure. Now I'm not really sure where to go. Back out, I would assume, right? Oh, don't die now. Come on. Are you serious? Well, it should save that I have it, right? Yeah, okay. The amount of time you're invincible after getting hit is absolutely unfair. Is that one of the differences between normal and easy mode? Was that fair? Was that fair? Really? I hit him on the butt. Like that's the type of shit that makes me not want to play anymore. Alright, that's it. That's it. I'm done. Actually, let me just go back, just out of curiosity here. And let me do that same level in easy. And let me see if that's some of the things that we see. Yep, playing on a mister. Yeah, definitely more health. Oh, thanks, Tony. And yeah, Marcello, I love it. Y buttons just because it's all, well, here, I could show you. Retro Spy. So that's what it actually looks like. And then when you go into filters and you add the chroma key, it gets rid of everything, including the green button. Fuck off, really? Gotta get some lives over here. Nope. Alright. We're solid on that rope now. Not a hit against me. In the normal mode, it got hit after me. Did I get sick after PAX East a few years ago? No, not at all. Zero. And that was when COVID first came out. And it's funny, a bunch of people that I've seen online for years now crying about masks and vaccination and blaming everybody. There was a couple people there that were like, this is fake. COVID was made up by politicians just to control people and make you racist. And it's like, no, I'm pretty sure that that's actually a real thing that you might want to be worried about. Like, no, it's not. You just don't know what you're talking about. Like, and then all their posts from like 6 months after that on were just the exact opposite. It was kind of funny. I'll have to talk to Chris about this, Displaced Gamers, and see if he would want to do a video on it. Because DuckTales is popular enough where I'm sure that would get views, but... Wow. I guess I could still make stupid mistakes. Hey, Chris, you're here. Ah! So, I don't know how long... were you here when I was on the moon level and I just beat the rat? You had just joined. Okay, so when I played that rat before, I almost gave up for the day, and I was playing in normal mode, and I had hit him basically on his back, but the hit counted as if he hit me, and I ended up dying because of that. So I was wondering if the hit detection and what counts as a hit against enemies, as well as yourself, changes when going from easy to normal mode or stuff like that. And that's something that definitely that's a question for you. I wouldn't be able to figure that out, but and basically, what is the difference between easy, normal, and hard? And there's some basics, like you take 2 hits to lose one of your 3 lives here, whereas in easy or in normal, you 1 hit and it goes red or whatever the other color was. But and yeah, Tyler, I'll switch out the overlay at some other point. Today's stream was about this, not about Retro Spy. Although I'm gonna try to use Retro Spy in every single one of my streams. So. Oh, Capcom Dev History, awesome. Yeah, add this one to your list of maybes because that was really interesting to see and experience, like one right after the other like that. Because the first one felt really unfair, and the second one was more like, it felt unfair in the opposite direction. It felt like, wait, that doesn't line up. Like, I should have gotten hit at least once. Were I off-center much? Yeah, a little bit, but both sides. I was off-centered when I thought it was unfair towards me, and I was off-centered when I thought it was unfair towards the enemy. I never beat this one at all. Throughout all the practicing in the past 2+ hours, I never beat it. So let me see what I can do here. For me personally, ice stages were never ever my favorites. Getting stuck in the snow, slipping and sliding. Oh, that's right. Hmm. Huh. All right then. One last chance. That's it. Hmm. So is this where I was supposed to go up, or I could have gone down before last time? This is totally different. No, this is totally different. Oh boy. That's pretty cool. I mean, I kind of feel like I cheesed out doing it on easy, but I mean, I guess practicing in normal mode for the first 2 hours and then jumping into that's probably probably helped bring my skills up. So for anybody just joining, I spent 2.5 hours playing this game and found one bug, one. So this I guess the developer Infidelity already said that this Friday is probably going to be the public release. If you want to try it now, absolutely just join the Patreon or maybe consider doing that. So unbelievably appreciate it. So you're all awesome. I'll see you soon.